Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fuck with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. But need OG Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm in a whip, so I gotta zoom. They tryna talk, they not in the room. I've been so real, I'm dead to the tomb. They in the way, they gotta move. I gotta gas, they running on fumes. Told them way back, it's something new. It's me and Dan, you gotta choose. I'm taking what's mine, I'm doing fine. Don't see the vision, they looking so blind. I hit my lower, I don't got the time. Crossing my T's and he dotting those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't belabor like none of these guys. They hit me once and I'm cutting the ties. I was so low, but I'm back on the rise, it's real. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I blow soon, soon. Knew as a child back in the womb. Oh, told her step back, I need my room, room. Hop in the car, watch it go vroom. I'm hopping now I gotta go. I'm looking back, they not even close. I had a 4, now I need a ghost. I got a wave like I'm on the coast. Same ones are down and I dare to show. So way that I'm ballin', they think I'm a pro. I'm getting sick by the money I gross. They saying whoa, I told them all what this is. I told them all I don't miss. Said it's my time, look at this shit on my wrist. And when they shootin' this breaks, I'm going in a new gig, gotta shift. I cannot stick to the script, I cannot wait. Watch how I get it and flip. It's just how I'm doing this shit that I'm gone. Just how I'm doing this shit that I'm gone. Ayy, just how I'm doing this shit that I'm gone.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning.
winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Kendall's live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, Bitcoin getting the bounce from our very key level of support being the 786 Fibonacci retracement. And we are going to push to the upside here, guys. And losing that 786 was very, very alarming because if we lost that 786, we were looking for that break below $107,000. I'm literally drawing on the chart here like you guys can actually see it. But we are currently holding that 786 Fibonacci retracement, guys. Is this enough to get a bigger rip to the upside? What are we expecting next here on Bitcoin? Well, we got some medium time frame money flow coming back into the green. We still have some high time frame money flow coming out. So I'm going to give you guys the bullish case, the bearish case. And as always, I'll let you know which way I'm leaning and exactly how I am personally trading this price action. But nice bounce from that 786, guys, at least so far. Looking pretty good. We're going to talk about some reclaims on some key levels of support that could indicate a bigger push to the upside. We'll talk about some of those upper targets. We'll talk about the line in the sand that would likely indicate the continuation down. We're going to cover it all for you guys on tonight's live stream. So shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We got Skizzle in the chat. We got Sergio in the chat. What is going on? Welcome in. Says Frankie. Sergio says, Frankie looks like the type of guy that loves guacamole. I mean, I like guacamole. It's not like one of my like die-hard big favorite foods, but I do like it. I do like. I don't get it on my burrito. I'll tell you that. I do dip chips in guac, but I don't get it on my burrito. But shout out to Sergio in here. We got Jennifer in the chat. All set. Dar A. Regular guy trades. We got Dutchy. All set. Orthan. What's going in? Satoshi Glakamoto. One of the best names in the chat. What is going on, man? Welcome in. We got Gen Z guys. We got Darren Does Things. Tony D. Tyler Durden. Chemistry Bro. Rob the Crypto Snob. You guys know who the mods are. Show them some love in the chat if you love them as much as we do, which is going to be pretty hard. But let's see here. What are you guys thinking here? Nice Pumptober. We're on our way to Pumptober, guys. Well, we are still holding on top of that $107,000 level. And we got a lot to break down today, guys. We got to actually have some price action to update. Let's see. Shout out to Perry. Said, Frankie, I just got a hat from you because it was my birthday to support the channel. And because I learned a lot from you, and it's a nice thing to thank you. Shout out to Perry. I appreciate you, bro. What color did you get? Let me know. I'm rocking the all black right now. One of my favorites. Not my super favorite, but one of them. Let me know what color you got, brother. Frankie is my quant. He knows his way around. Abacus. Shout out to Julio in the chat. We got K Diggity. Phoebe says hi. What is going on, man? Welcome in. But yeah, guys, we got a lot to. Rob the Crypto Stomp in the chat. What is going on, Rob? Happy birthday and welcome in, bro. Good to see you. TDK said made it perfectly in time after the premium stream. We were just live in the premium Discord, guys, but we got a lot to look at. So without further ado, I don't want to do too much housekeeping here. Don't forget to smash that like button if you appreciate the free content, guys. We greatly appreciate it and helps out the channel more than you think. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts and see if we can predict the next move on Bitcoin. Let's go. All right, guys. So obviously last week, as we were coming down to our value area low here, we had a very key level of support, guys, being that 786 Fibonacci retracement. And I'm trying to think. The other thing that we were looking at, right? Obviously, we know this 786. I'll even hide the box here. We also had a weekly MPOC sitting down here as well. So we had the weekly MPOC, the 786, and that value area low, which obviously was an area of support. But as we came down here, last week, guys, this 786 was the level to reclaim, right? If we were going to look for a bounce back into the range, back to the POC, potentially back to the high and beyond, what we were looking for was a reclaim of that 786 specifically with our 16-hour green dots. Now, I am not personally long here from the low. We did have a long setup in the premium Discord, but I personally did not take a position yet because I was waiting, guys. I was waiting. As we looked at on the live stream last week, we were looking at these relative equal lows that we had. I was pretty suspicious to come back down and sweep these lows. And I was okay having this come back to the upside. I was personally waiting for the sweep of liquidity. We did not get it, and price came up without us, guys, or at least without me personally. But oh my God, FOMO in at the top. I'm going to FOMO long here live on the stream, guys. You can all watch me get wrecked. I'm just kidding. I am not FOMOing into any trades, but if we were looking for a move to the upside without that sweep of liquidity, obviously we did have some things on the chart. Number one, reclaiming that 786 was absolutely critical. Why is that? Well, very simply put, guys, we have the low, we have the high. The chance to put in the higher low was sitting down here at that 786, meaning if we could hold this, we could potentially have an open door to continue this local uptrend, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, and we will take a look at the money flow in just a minute. We do still have the 2-day money flow coming out, the daily money flow still in the red. So I'll cover that with you guys, the longer term scenario. But the reason this 786 was so important was because it was our 786. Losing that 786 was very clearly going to indicate a break below $107,000, but we were able to wiggle our way back up here above that 786. And we also had on Friday, looking at the 16-hour green dot here, as you can see, printing on Friday is what we were looking at on the live stream. Green dot on the 16-hour, green dot, come on, TradingView, green dot on the 12-hour printing as well. And at the same time, what did we have here? We had our 1-hour money flow crossing over into the green, which gave us that potential market cipher B116 strategy, which would help us, obviously, getting that reclaim of the 786, getting back into our profile and pushing up to some higher prices. This is, we have some stuff to update here because luckily, at least as of right now, we did not break below the 786, and we also obviously have held above our major level of support that we've been looking at forever, which is kind of the line in the sand for me, guys, or I wouldn't even say kind of. It is the line in the sand for me. Remain above $107,000. This is still the biggest level of support that we do not want to lose. If we lose this level of support, guys, I'm going to be looking for the drop down to 104K, where we would potentially be looking for long positions. But at that point, guys, we are below massive resistance. We're getting accepted potentially into our larger value area sitting down below here. And even bounces off that 786 could get us stuck under that resistance for a much bigger drop down on Bitcoin. And as we looked at all last week with our daily money flow, our 2-day money flow, leaking into the red. You can see the daily is still here. Technically in the red, it's trying to come back up. Pretty choppy on money flow recently, more specifically like throughout this price action. But the daily is trying to come back up. Technically, it's still in the red. We also have our 2-day money flow attempting to get a green dot here and a little peak up on our money flow. But this is not enough for me, guys. This is not enough for me to just confidently call for a massive move into new all-time highs. Now, structurally, holding above 107K does keep the doorway to new all-time highs open. But when we see this money flow, which typically indicates the longer-term trend, right? Doesn't indicate the ebbs or flows in the market, but it indicates that overall trend. If we get this 2-day money flow crossover into the red, this could be the sign that we are going to lose that golden pocket and get the bigger drop down. However, when we look at the chart locally, if we're going to get all-time highs, guys, like regardless of what happens here, more likely than not, you are still praying for a massive fake out on money flow on the 2-day, right? That just is what it is, right? Even if we just come up from here, right, we're just going to see that massive fake out on money flow if it goes into all-time highs. So you're still kind of betting against the longer-term money flow, but if we come on down here to the medium time frames, obviously we have the 1-hour money flow crossover into the green with the 16-hour green dot printing, but also, as you can see here on some of our medium hourly time frames, such as the 4-hour, the 2-hour, even the 3-hour, starting to get a little bit of a crossover into the green here, which could indicate, right, as we've held our 786 Fibonacci retracement, low, high, potential higher low for a higher high to come in. If we're able to get the specifically 4-hour money flow to cross over into the green, you can see the red dot is looking to print here potentially very soon. That could give us a little amber flow to the downside. I'll cover what I'll be looking for there in a minute, but if we can get that red dot, we could get a little bit of a pullback, but if we can hold on top of these key levels of support, we could potentially see the local trend continue to the upside. Now, this isn't enough for me to say that the 2-day money flow is going to fake out new all-time highs. We have obviously big key levels of resistance above, and I'm going to cover those targets and what I'm going to be putting the most weight on as far as the strongest levels. But, if we can get this medium time frame money flow to cross over into the green, guys, we could potentially look for lackluster retracements, continuations of that uptrend, pushing us, maybe into new all-time highs. A little too soon to be looking for that just yet, and I'll cover the local levels as well. But, just seeing this money flow come up, guys, like any pullbacks here, we could be looking for higher lows and higher highs to come in. And again, this doesn't totally step on the daily money flow or the 2-day money flow saying that we're guaranteed all-time highs. But when we take a step back, guys, and we really look at this from a cycle perspective, is the cycle over? Is the bear market here? I'm just inclined to look at this massive level at $107,000, right? We looked at this ever since we got the initial breakout here when we put in a new all-time high, pullbacks into this level to retest the range highs, retest the golden pocket, retest the bull market support band. We had some key anchored VWAPs in here. Staying above this level does keep the doorway open to potentially continue up bullishly, right? Once we lose that $107,000 level, that is where you're going to see my tune change a little bit, and I'm going to be a little bit more worried about Bitcoin potentially getting much bigger drops to the downside. We came down, we were at risk, and we held the 786 by the skin of our teeth. I mean, we came down, we lost it, we got back, rejection, back down, rejected, back down, and eventually we did break above it and get that continuation up, which is like by the skin of our teeth. Thank God, right? Because if we lost that 786, very likely we would be down here either getting the sweep of liquidity of 107K or just completely breaking down into this profile. So very nice to see the 107K level protected here with a potential higher low for that higher high to come in. But what are the next levels I'm looking at for trades personally? Now, for me, let me go ahead and hide some of this stuff. Let me come in the chat real quick. There's a CME gap at about 110 to 111K. We could try to cover that for sure. I lost my 786 once. It was under the couch. Shout out to Paul. Yeah, they will scurry under the couch once in a while. But when we look at this, guys, I'm going to pull up our key levels that we looked at last week, which is obviously we have our upper value area here where we have that next, in my opinion, significant key level of resistance, which obviously sits up here, same level we looked at last week. We have the value area low, the weekly MPOC, as well as a daily MPOC sitting in there as well. So daily, weekly MPOC, value area low, and when we pull our Fibonacci retracement here from the high to the low, we also have the golden pocket and the 786 here, right? So this is honestly... this is the last level of resistance, in my opinion, right? If we come up here, right, again, we are tapping that golden pocket right now with some low time frame divs. Maybe we get a little pullback, but if that 4-hour money flow is able to continue up, right, money flow helping us understand the likely continuation of the trend. This crosses green. We're looking for higher lows and higher highs. If we're able to get above this 786 at $116,000, call it, it's really $115,916. If we're able to get above that 786, well, hey, we could potentially look for a push up. And with the trend here, with our low, our high, our higher low, and potential higher high, get above that 786, guys. This is the doorway not only to get accepted back into our profile, but also to look for a higher high to come in on price. Looking to break structure to the upside there. Again, if the condition of this money flow coming into the green is met, right, we could look for that break of structure to the upside based off the Fibonacci retracement, based off of the uptrend continuing, based off the money flow, and the acceptance into this range, right? You get above the value area low, well, hey, where are you looking for next? You're looking for the POC, and based off the trend here, I would actually look for a break of structure to the upside there. And I'll talk about the biggest key level. This is kind of, I would consider the $116,000, $115,000 to $116,000 level here. It's definitely a key level of resistance, but I will say above that, I am not as interested in looking for major rejections from that point of control, right? We've already kind of rejected this zone, so if we do come up there, money flow on the 4 hours crossing into the green, I would prefer to see a sweep above this high, potentially pushing us into the next big level of resistance, which is the 786 Fibonacci retracement and the value area high. I'll actually just mark this out right here. It really comes in between about 119 to 120,800, but the real confluence here is on the value area high 786. And if we're going to see the 2-day money flow and that daily money flow continue into the red, which I'd have to assume, right, if we continue up into this range, daily money flow is probably crossing back into the green. Maybe that's the fake out that we need on the 2-day to get the big move into all-time highs. But I would say the doorway to all-time highs is open until we lose 107K, but it's not just like my base case where I'm saying all-time highs incoming. Because, again, we have this local Fibonacci retracement, which could give us a lower high, right, for another bigger rejection to come down here and sweep these lows. And I am still, I'm not saying you have to come down here, but if we did come back down here, I would still pay attention to these relative equal lows with liquidity sitting down below, which could give you an opportunity for a bounce. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But just to kind of mention that, it's not often, right? You're not always going to get that liquidity swept, but it's like even back here, we got the front run. We covered this live. I was looking for the last drop down to sweep into our key level of support before looking for that bounce to the upside. We got that to play out perfectly, and the patience of waiting for that liquidity to get swept wound up paying out. But you can see here, it's not 100%, right? You're not always going to go sweep that liquidity. Otherwise, if we swept that liquidity, I'd be long from this level. But biggest key level of resistance right now, locally, 114,368, where we're projecting from right now, all the way up to $116,000, 786. Tons of confluence in here. This is the place to reject from, guys. But with money flow coming up, I am going to be careful of higher lows and higher highs. And I'll show a new level of support that I'm looking at here, which is essentially just an updated volume profile. But for the most part, right, like we looked at this last week. If we get the bounce here on that 1 hour money flow crossover into the green, this is still the biggest level of resistance to look at, right? This range low will be resistance until proven otherwise, right? Especially with the golden pocket, 786, weekly MPOCs. This is the big level of resistance to get above. Flip to 786. I'm looking up not only to the POC based off the volume profile theory, but also based off the trend. Probably more likely than not, looking for a sweep above that high, right? And if we can get above there, we have liquidity sitting above $119,000, leading us into our next key level at the value area high 786, sitting between $120,000 to $120,800. So that's pretty much what I'm waiting for. I am currently, again, not long from the low here, unfortunately, but personally, this is technically an area where we can look for a short, but based on the lower time frames, I'm going to sit on my hands here and see how this shakes out. But for me personally, I would really prefer to tap into these MPOCs as they are the bigger levels of resistance. We're also very close to retesting that range low. So I'm going to let things settle down here for shorts. I'm pretty much, for the bigger short positions, waiting for the value area high 786. And for the long positions, I can't long here, guys. This is just a full-mo long. Oh, my God, we moved up. I'm going to miss the move. Let me long here. Why would I long here? Even if it does continue up, it's not a great place to take a trade, in my opinion. Why? We're slamming up into resistance currently, and we also have a ton of resistance above. So even if we do get another push up, I'm happy, letting this just go. I'm not interested in longing after this entire move up to capitalize on a little extra push up. So for longs, I would have to have some kind of retracement to the downside to look for those higher lows and higher highs, which I would be looking at the 4-hour red dot to potentially start that bigger correction, right? If we get that red dot to print, maybe that's where we can start to look for the pullback. Now, what is the key level of support I would be looking to hold? Well, to be quite honest, there's not a lot here, right? All I can really pull is if I pull this fib from the local low to the high, this Fibonacci retracement comes in between about $112,629 all the way down to about $112,148. So this is just a simple Fibonacci retracement. I would say this is the level to look to hold, right? If we're going to continue that uptrend, we get that 4-hour red dot to give us a little bit of a pullback, and we're going to put in a higher low and a higher high, continuing up into the bigger levels of resistance, into that doorway to higher prices, which is the 786 sitting at 116K. This would be the area that I'm looking for. If we don't come down here and price pushes up, I'm letting it go, baby. I'm letting it go. No big deal. There's always going to be another opportunity. I'm not going to be chasing trades. But for me personally, I'm just letting things settle out here. If we get the drop to the downside, this is the next key level of support I'm looking at between 112,666. Yikes. 666. 112,111. That is that first level of support to be looking at. And if we pull up our lower range here, you can see we have the anchored VWAP from the high. We have now broken above that. This is likely going to be, or it is very nicely confluent with this level. It's also very close to the range high retest. So looking at this from a volume profile, there's your deviation below. This is where you want to be looking for long positions in anticipation of getting back into the range, pushing up towards the POC, and then looking to go to the value area high. We are now breaking out of that value area high. So what would I like to see? If we get a pullback, it would be very nice if we can hold on top of these range highs / golden pocket 786 to look for a higher low and a higher high. Why look for this? Well, hey, our 4-hour money flow is crossing over into the green. So until then, right, I am basically just sitting on my hands and letting things kind of bing bong around until we hit one of these bigger key levels. I would be careful of little pullbacks here. We do have the bearish divergences confirmed here on the 90-minute, on the 1 hour. You have your higher highs on your price action into your key level, lower highs on your momentum waves right here, right? So little pullbacks are not unexpected, but if we are going to hold a higher low and a higher high, this is the level that I will be watching. If we break down below that 786, well, at that point, hey, we're stuck inside the profile. I'm looking down towards the POC. I'm going to see what happens if we get down here. I'm not particularly interested in this point of control for a higher low, right? If we had some like really nice confluence on our golden pocket POC, something like that. I mean, I guess you could say these are somewhat confluent. But for me personally, I'd probably just be viewing this as a volume profile, get accepted back into the range, back down to the POC, back down to the low. And remember, we have that liquidity down there. And I'm probably more interested in lower prices to look for the longs there. Maybe we'll come up here tomorrow. I'll be long from here. We'll see something in the premium Discord. I look to take a position. But until that happens, biggest level of support that I will be looking at locally, sitting right here. Biggest level of resistance, technically, right? It's kind of two zones, right? We have the golden pocket value area low, which we're tapping right now. And then you also have the 786 and the weekly and daily MPOCs sitting up here on top of that, right? This is probably the stronger level in my opinion because of the MPOCs. But again, I can't guarantee that you have to make it up there, right? This golden pocket is a level of resistance with confirmations. I would not be surprised if you get a little bit of bing bong to the downside. So medium term, I would say money flow looks pretty good for maybe a continuation up here locally. And then as we push into these levels, it's all eyes on the higher time frame money flow, guys. Like I said, we're above 107K. Doorways to new all-time highs. I technically is open. But this money flow, I mean, you're just banking on a complete fake out on money flow, which, for the sake of the spot bags, for the sake of the health of the cycle, I pray that we just rip up and see this money flow fake out. But, you can't just ignore this, right? Like, this money flow is generally trending down. And this little peak up here that we're seeing, people might be like, money flow is coming back up into the green. Like, what does this mean? Until we start cracking these lower highs, I'm not really getting out of bed for that. Because, again, it's like the same thing here. It's like, oh, my God, money flow's popping back up. We're pumping to the upside. Are we about to rip? It's like, well, hey, this could very likely be just another high, lower high for the continuation of that downtrend. It could be the same thing here potentially, even if you see it come up a little bit more. So when it comes to money flow, it's more about overall trend rather than like instant signal. Money flow comes up. You're not just instantly thinking all-time highs, right? What is the overall trend of that money flow? Well, you have an opportunity to have your high, a lower high, and then another lower high. It's not until we start cracking these lower highs that I would start thinking maybe this is a fake out on money flow. So a little bit of a difficult situation, but when we negate money flow, right, we just take money flow off the chart. At the end of the day, guys, the biggest key level of support, if you just want like a simple thing to look at, is just, let me just hide all this. The thing to look at here is staying above $107,000. We've talked about this being the massive level of support forever. Ever since we came down there the first time, we're like, this is the level to hold. We break down below this, much more bearish for Bitcoin, potentially looking for the much bigger drop down. And if that 2-day money flow continues out, sure, maybe we can see that continue to happen. But locally here, I have to say, medium time frame money flow coming up. So, medium term, maybe we just get the dump, right? Maybe the 4-hour money flow fakes out into the red and we get the bigger drop down. But as of right now, this money flow is pointing towards potential local lower high or higher lows and higher highs to come. And the fact that we're holding that 786 does give you the open door to potentially take out this high right here. So I will be somewhat interested in shorts locally here if we push up closer to the $115,000 level. But the big level I'll be looking at, guys, is simply going to be up here towards 119 to 120K. We have liquidity sitting up there above about $119,000 above these highs. And then you have the structural resistance, right? You have the value area high and the 786. But pretty nice to see us over this. Once you break back down below that Fibonacci retracement that I brought up, right? From the local low to the high, right? Once you get down below that and we pull up this upper range or lower range, right? It's like you're losing this anchored VWAP. If you can't hold the 786, you're losing all these anchored VWAPs. And, I would just look for the bigger continuation down. I would like a bigger drop down there. I just don't know if you're going to get it. But for me personally, we're just in between these two value areas, right? Let's get up here for the bigger rejection or come down here for the higher low and the higher high. That is what I'm waiting for. I'm not interested in any oh my God, we're dumping. Oh my God, we're pumping. Like, I'm not interested in trades up here, right? I need a retracement down or a continuation up to look for those next trades. Simply having a plan, having those traps set in the market. Trading is a game of trapping, not a game of hunting. And if we get those levels hit, and we see those confirmations, then we will take the trade. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Money flow in the medium time frames, not looking too bad. Higher daily time frames, still got to let that kind of develop, right? It's going to take those higher time frames do take a lot longer for money flow to kind of roll over or come into the green, right? These are like cruise ships, I describe them as. On the lower time frames, you'll get very quick like ebbs and flows on money flow, but on those higher time frames, it does take a lot longer for these to develop. So like even if this is a fake out, we probably have a lot longer to wait to like really confirm that as a fake out back into the green. So until then, I would say cautiously optimistic for the local trend to continue up, and hopefully if we can continue that, we can see these money flow fake outs on the higher time frame. So cautiously optimistic. I can't negate the 2-day money flow coming out. I can't negate this 4-day money flow looking like absolute trash. But I can still also have an open mind to potential fake outs on those money flows, right? Indicators are never going to be 100% hit rate, right? Like these are just taking information on the chart and plotting them on an indicator. So if we just get some kind of random pop to the upside, it's just I can't personally I don't typically fade the money flow, right? I have to stay on the right side of that trend. It's paid us out immensely, throughout all this price action following money flow. But, you do have to be aware there are some times where you see fake outs, not famously, but back here, right? This was one of those opportunities where we were seeing a potential fake out on money flow. I personally thought this was a high probability fake out into the red before a new all-time high, but we are in a different spot in the market right now. So I can't really say that this is a very confident fake out on money flow. Even with the 2-day coming back up. So that's why I'm cautiously optimistic. I like the 4-hour money flow. I like the 2-hour money flow. Even like the 5-hour trying to come back up here. I do like that for a potential continuation higher, but it just doesn't negate those higher time frame money flows, right? This would indicate medium time frame, right? This would be like cautiously optimistic for a continuation up, right? But the higher time frame money flow can very easily give us another slam to the downside. And we'll assess the situation as we come into these next resistances. But for the most part, those are the key levels I'm looking at. So if you're here for the key levels and the key levels only, key level number 1 to the downside to look at 112,664 down to about 112,120, 159, where you have your golden pocket 786 and your confluence on your value area high. So this is going to be that zone to be looking at if we get that little pullback. Red dot on the 4-hour would likely give us that continuation down, where we could also look for the 15-minute money flow crossover into the red at the same time, if we can get it, which we don't have as of right now. But if this money flow comes out and crosses over into the red with that 4-hour red dot, it might be able to assist that drop down. This is the first key level of support. Resistance is simply going to be sitting. Let me actually just pull it up here. Right? Resistance, we're tapping into it right now on the golden pocket, but technically this zone does ride all the way up to 115,950. Maybe hit our heads, bada boom, higher low, higher high, right? I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but these are my thought processes, but I am simply no action until we tap deeper into our key levels. And again, that daily and weekly MPOC is sitting up there as well. Right? This is the bigger level. I can't say you're definitely not going to reject here, but I would prefer this bigger level of support, or resistance, right? If we don't get up there and we get the dump down, well, I'll look for the higher low. If we push up there first, I might be interested in the short back down. But right now, just sitting on my hands. I am not looking to take a trade for the sake of taking a trade. I'm looking to take high probability setups to actually make some money, not just gamble on a move to the upside or downside. Let's see. I think you can sell that to the elites, Wick. Shout out to Wick589 trying to come up with some elite products to sell the whales. Is that what's going on here? Shout out to Wick589, OG of the CandleMafia. So resistance, bing bong, altcoins sleep with the fishes. RIP, Luca Brasi. Oh, got it. Thanks, Candles. Shout out to Paul. I mean, yeah, I wish, guys, I wish I could sit here and, if I know a lot of people, they just want like the simple answer. Pump or dump. All-time highs or bull market over. It is just too soon to call this, right? Could the top be in at 125K? Sure. Is that my base case? No. My base case, right, would be all-time high door is open until we lose $107,000. This is, losing this level is where that shifts for me, right? It's been the same thing ever since we got the first push to the upside here, right? All that remains the same. Stay above 107K. I am still longer-term bullish. It's really the money flow, right? Like, I have to say, if I can see that money flow coming out ahead of time, I do have to be aware of the lower highs and the lower lows, right? Maybe it comes in here, right? And maybe we could come up and tap that 786 up here. But I'll be honest, right? Like, I'm not going to know until we get up in those levels and I can look at the higher time frame money flow. At that point, I would know more likely than not if it's a high probability to get a big rejection from this level or if we're looking for continuations up. So the major volume profiles to look at for me, upper VP, this is the same volume profile that we've been looking at. You could pull this to your current price action, which right now we are sitting above about 112,600, which, by the way, guys, is in that same exact zone where we have that next level of support, right? So if we look at this, let me hide this real quick because I did pull this as a separate range, right? If you look at the current profile, it's like the same thing, right? That value area low is also sitting right on that golden pocket retracement. So just like another little added level of confluence there. It's like, well, hey, if you look at it from this context and you're looking for higher lows on this golden pocket 786, what are you also doing? You're also flipping that value area low to support, which does open the door into that POC. And this is somewhat of a pretty clean profile. So just a little bit of added confluence down there with the current range volume profile. But me, more often than not, right, I will look at this, and then I will also not forget about the previous volume profile, right, pulled right here. It's a little bit different now because I don't know exactly where I had that pulled from, but I'll just line it up there, right? So this is your previous profile. Still a key zone to look at. It getting accepted above 115K, right? That would be very nice. But when you look at the other profile, let me actually drag this here so I can switch between these, right? Like locally, another reason why I would be interested in a higher low here is because you are flipping that current range volume profile to support, right? Which could open the door to break that structure, low, high, higher, low, higher, high. Right, and then we get assess what's going on here at those bigger key levels of resistance. And let me just get the arrow up there. All right, cool. So there we go. That's what I'm looking at here for Bitcoin, guys. Other than that, right, high time frames just kind of still chilling here, right? Money flow still a little bit sketchy. Nothing really to update there, but we do have a 2-day green dot, which would be nice to help us continue that 4-hour money flow crossover and uptrend to higher prices, right? So this is another thing you can look at. But again, 2-day green dot, as money flow just rolls over and gives you a lower high, still could reject that value area high for a bigger drop down. I hope that once we get up there, it's not the case. But right now, these are just what I am looking for. So yeah, let me come back in the chat real quick. Shout out to Darren D-Bone. Says, poll count is higher than the likes. What the heck? Smash that like button, guys. We got 544 votes on the poll, which says, wow, half here, pretty much. 50-50 split. What will Bitcoin do next? We're about to moon, 48%. This bounce will be short-lived, 52%. That pretty much shows basically how I feel right now. 1K away from 107K bounce without sweeping it and bouncing 1 hour before CME opens. Isn't that saying a trap? Potentially, right? But the way I treat this, shout out to Lucia, the way I treat this is I wouldn't just say, right, I would still be interested in potential longs on pullbacks here, right, just because of the money flow. But if we don't hold that, right, like the closer you get to this liquidity, the more likely it is to get taken. So it's more like if we come approach down here, then once we start getting close, I start to get suspicious of potentially coming down and sweeping those lows. You have to remember also, you have that hotspot of liquidity sitting below 107K. This looks, right, like these lows are still relative equal lows. There is still likely liquidity sitting down there, but that does not guarantee that you have to come back down and revisit this. That's not really, I mean, maybe at some point you will, but it doesn't mean that you have to come down here to take another long position. And why would I be looking for higher lows and higher highs before that? Again, 4-hour money flow. If that 4-hour red dot prints and we get this drop down to the value area low, it's like, well, hey, red dot prints, price comes down, money flow is coming back up into the green. You can look for that higher low and higher high. There's no guarantee you have to come down there. But if we got closer, it is important to understand that you might have liquidity sitting down here because it gives you an opportunity to look for that sweep and another push back to the upside. So it's a medium time frames, not looking too bad. Cautiously optimistic at this point, especially above this current value area low, right? Could push back up towards the POC, push back up towards the value area high. Yeah, and unless that's just a total fake out, total trap, well, at that point, I'll just be still looking for longs down here. So that's kind of my plan here. And who knows? Maybe I'll get a setup here. I'll take a long position at the value area low. Maybe it'll get stopped out. right? In which case, I will take a small loss and just wait for the next opportunity. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Paul said 50% of the poll is 100% correct. That is true. That will be true. Let's see. Shout out to the Contrary Trader. New Earth Guardian says, what is going on, Mafia? I'm now the Contrary Trader. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Welcome in, brother. Welcome in. Shout out to India Martini. Said, are you supposed to pull fibs from the low to the high or the high to the low? Well, it depends if you're looking for resistance or support, right? Well, if you're looking for resistance, you pull from the high to the low to drag it down those levels of resistance, right? You're pulling that resistance down, looking for resistance, right? If I were looking for moves, support, I would pull from the low to the high. This would be the full fib. This is not the one that we just looked at. So you support, you pull low to high. For resistance, you pull high to low. Very simple. Shout out to Indy Martini. Great question. Great question. Simple answer. ETH looks good right now. Shout out to Dar. Yeah, we will take a quick look at ETH. As we looked at last week, this is hype. We actually looked at this as well, bouncing off of the key level of support, getting back into the value area. Someone said this in chat. Frankie, you called that hype move, filled the entire profile. Well, hey, there is volume profile for you. Deviate below the low, get back in. POC is next. Hold the POC. You're looking to go up to the high. Now we're rejecting the value area high. But that is not what I wanted to look at. I just happen to have this up. Let's pull up Ethereum real quick. Come on, there we go. And as we looked at last week, Ethereum coming down in a similar situation. Value area low, monthly MPOC. This was your support. Very similar to Bitcoin. Coming down to its key level of support, 786. We must hold this. If you hold it, you can look for the rotation back through the profile and potentially beyond. For Ethereum, same exact thing. You have the value area low. You have the monthly MPOC. If you get back above that value area low, POC is next. We are now holding that POC as support. So at this point, if we could hold above that point of control, the next place I would look for Ethereum to go, for the most part, biggest level, is going to be sitting up here between 43.96 and 45.75. Why? Well, we have the golden pocket, 786 retracement of this entire move down, and you also just have that magnetic level of the value area high. Deviate from the value area high, get back into the range. Next likely place for price to go, POC. Lose the POC, you're looking to go down to the low. Vice versa. Get in, you look to go to the POC. Flip the POC to support. You can then look to potentially fill all the way into that value area high. And you do have the confluence there on your Fibonacci retracements. Now, we do have some local resistance here on Ethereum as well, which does sit, believe it was pulled from this high. We looked at this last week. I took it off the chart in the premium Discord, but we do have the, golden pocket sitting right here in the 786. I would still say the bigger level based off the profile is sitting between 43.69 and 45.75, but honorable mention here, you have some local Fibonacci levels that you could get your head hit on a little bit, right? But as long as we hold above that point of control at 4,084, I would look for a potential continuation through this profile. On top of that, you also have your 3-hour money flow crossing into the green, which could indicate continuation of that uptrend, right? 4-hour money flow, not in the green yet, but looking very similar to Bitcoin. Maybe the 4-hour red dot cools you off a little bit, but that money flow crosses into the green. Could still look for the higher lows and higher highs. So at this moment, this is the volume profile I would be looking at on Ethereum. Value area low, plus monthly MPOC, but really the value area low is sitting here at 39.31, POC sitting at 4,083, and then the value area high sitting here at 45.30. And who knows? Maybe we just start rotating this volume profile. Maybe we come up here, still have an opportunity to put in a macro lower high for a continuation down to our bigger key level of support, sitting down between about 36 to 35.30. But until that happens, right, until we get up here and see the rejection, right, this is what I would be looking at on Ethereum. Holding the value area low beautifully. Same thing on Solana. Solana comes down directly into that value area low that we looked at on Friday. We pushed down in here on Thursday. This is a key level. Why? It's your value area low. You have the deviation into your value area high, the sweep of liquidity. At that point, you look to push to the POC being the next likely place for price to go. Once you lose that POC, where do we look? Down to that value area low. You've now rotated the volume profile in full to the upside and the downside. Shorts at the highs, longs at the lows, right? So we're bouncing off that golden pocket value area low confluence, and we're now tapping into our key level of resistance that we looked at yesterday. We had these levels on the chart just saying, hey, if we get the bounce over the weekend, this is the first major level of resistance. You held the low. Next likely place for price to go is the POC, and you have a local Fibonacci retracement there. But again, same thing as Ethereum and Bitcoin. If we get these medium time frame money flow crossovers, right, well, hey, we could look to hold the higher lows, flip the POC, and then just rotate the range. We're now just, potentially setting up for another range rotation here. And again, high time frame money flow, still a little bit sus here. 2-day popping back to the upside, but is it going to be a lower high? I wish I knew, right? But overall, I would still say this is technically trending to the downside on the daily. 2-day money flow kind of flat. 3-day money flow looking pretty decent, right? 4-day money flow still in the green. 5-day money flow kind of looking like it's trending out, right? So this high time frame money flow, we'll let that develop. But locally here, I would look at the lower time frame, like the 4-hour, the 2-hour, the 3-hour. This money flow crosses green. We could still look for those continuations up to at least tap that golden pocket. Once you flip that 786 POC, or I'm sorry, point of control, not golden pocket. Flip that POC 786. Well, hey, we could look to potentially continue up to some of those bigger levels, which is obviously the value area high sitting at 248.70. Obviously, we can also pull our full fib here from the high to the low. So you have these intermediary levels. Only thing here is this is not confluent with the bigger level of the value area high or the POC. So these are kind of floating levels. Yeah, you'll have some local confluence here. I would say probably this value area low is probably confluent with that zone. Yeah, you have the value area low golden pocket, 786 POC. But for the most part, I would be paying attention more to the full profile, right? Maybe get a little turbulence, get above here. Right, you could look to start marching your way up towards that value area high. Once we come into those next fib levels, we'll gauge the reaction and see what money flow looks like. But still, I would say like cautiously optimistic here with the medium time frame money flow. Unless that 4-hour money flow fakes out on everything, we get the bigger drop down. I would say probably shorter term. The reason I'm cautiously optimistic and not cautiously bearish is because if that money flow doesn't just fake out, right, like the higher probability here is to at least continue up a little bit more. So that's what I'll be looking at on Solana as well as Ethereum. So nice. Holding the value area low. Let's see if we can push up to some of these higher levels. Let's see. Rumor says Rob's Jr. has its own heartbeat. Shout out to Dutchie. Talking about Rob, the crypto snob. Happy birthday, Rob. Let's see. I think it'll be a choppy week. Shout out to Skizzle. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised, especially with the way price action's been lately. Yeah, shout out to J. Cole. We did have the big liquidation event last week on this drop to the down. I believe it was, or maybe it was this drop. We did have a large liquidation event, which is nice, right? Like, to be quite honest, right? Just from like a binary perspective, when you see these big like liquidation events, like oftentimes you do load up to get that next move to the upside, right? But just simply put, stay above 107K, guys. Long-term bullish, right? Like, why were we looking down here? Well, not only is the value area low, but it's the 786. Low, high, higher, low. Cautiously optimistic for the higher high to come in. If we don't get that to play out, no, I won't get wrecked. No, I'm not going to lose all my money, right? Because I'm trading the key levels. So, yeah, I mean, still above 107K. This is, please do not dip below 107K. That puts us in such a more difficult situation. But until then, right, just viewing this from the simple perspective of the macro support. Right? Like, there's nothing really that scary just yet. We haven't broke any major structure here. Doesn't mean that we can't, but, stay above here, just like we talked about. Initial breakout, it's okay to retest these levels, but we really want to not lose it, right? We lose that, much more bearish. So we'll see what happens. But I got my alert set, and we're waiting for those key levels to get tapped here, guys. Let's see. We will take a look at some other altcoins as well. Let's see. I think it's bullish if we hold 107K after such a record-breaking liquidation event. Yeah, shout out to J. Cole. I would just say in general, stay above 107K. Like, this is literally the line in the sand that makes me stay long-term bullish, right? We could look at the money flow in the higher time frames and say, yeah, maybe the trend continues down based off money flow, right? But I wouldn't think this is going to be the case, right? But like, if we come up here and for some reason money flow is just crossing into the red and we're still above 107K, right? Like, the technical level being broken is really what I'm looking at, right? And then the assumption is if that high time frame money flow continues out and we're losing this key level, right? Well, then you can expect that longer term trend to the downside. But like until we lose that, right? Like I would set an alert here on 107K. If we decisively lose this and can't get some kind of like a fast flush of liquidity for another big bounce up, that would be first big sound the alarm. This is not looking good anymore. Stay above it. Cautiously optimistic. See if we can ride that thing to the upside. I pray, guys. I do hold a lot of crypto. Contrary, a lot of people think, he's just a trader. You know, he doesn't care. I do really care because I do hold a lot of spot Bitcoin. I do hold a lot of spot Ethereum. And, you know, it's just getting, come on. Like, we need this thing to start moving. Let's see. What if they fake out the fake out of the fake outs? Shout out to Orhan. Definitely possible. Definitely possible. Yeah, I mean, not going to lie, guys. Like, more often than not, when you wait for the sweeps, they will come. Literally talked about this on the live stream. Like, I'd like one last flush down here before going long. We did take that long in the premium Discord. But it doesn't happen all the time, right? Like, I'll be honest. Like, this was super suspicious with these relative equal lows, right? Like, this is very, very indicative of sweeping lows. But it doesn't happen every time, right? Nothing is 100%. Doesn't mean that you're not going to come take these lows at some point. But more often than not, like, you will see that, right? And I was able to avoid a bad long entry here while waiting for that first flush or that last flush, right? It's like, oh my God, we're pumping long, right? Well, I'm just going to wait for that sweep. If we come back down there, right, like this is obviously going to be an area where I'll be looking at. And, you know, if you just look at this from the volume profile perspective, right, well, it's like we're back down here. We're retesting the range high again. Like this is just another big level of support. And again, 107K, guys. We lose 107K. I'm going to say it. You're going to see me come up here. If we lose 107K and we're not seeing significant confirmations for big bounces, it's not going to be a happy day. I might even play some sad music if we start breaking down below 107K. But right now with the 4-hour money flow, cautiously optimistic. Let's get out of here. Let's get above that 786. We cracked this 786. I'm looking for the breaking structure of the upside to push into the upper value area high. Sitting up here. Come on, Bitcoin. You can do it. I promise you can do it. We believe in you. The Mafia believes in you, Bitcoin. Yeah, shout out to Alchemistic says Bitcoin doesn't care about bad lows anymore. Yeah, apparently this is a bad low, right? Now this doesn't mean that I would not say that this is guaranteed not the low just because it's a bad low, but this was that is the reason why I was looking for that sweep of liquidity down below. So it does care about it sometimes, right? Like it cared about it here, just didn't care here. Sometimes that happens, like even here, right? We look for the sweep of liquidity. What happens? Sweep it. Right, we look for the sweep of liquidity, sweep it, right? And we were also looking to tap the golden pocket there as well. But here, just bad low. Now I'm just going to send it anyway. Kind of reminds me of, where was it? Down here. Down here we had the, looking for the SFP here, and Bitcoin just front ran it. It does happen from time to time. But again, from like a statistic standpoint, more often than not, it will take out those lows. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin, guys. Not other than that, right? Like, pretty much last week, if we were able to hold that 786, look for the bounce into the bigger level of support, which pretty much remains the same. It's like the 115K zone. So we'll see if we can get the low time frame rejection here. We do have some low time frame bearish divergences, higher highs, lower highs. 30-minute and 24-minute money flow is coming out. 8-hour VWAP is coming down as well. So we are tapping into that resistance. I would prefer, again, to tap in here a little bit deeper, but no guarantees. Just because I'm waiting does not mean that I won't miss the move. I'm okay missing the move, right? I'm not going to FOMO in and chase it. I'll just catch the next setup. It's a skill that I'm very proud to have built over a long time of trading. Not chasing the moves, right? That was like the biggest thing that I had to get over, which is why I preach against that so much, because it chopped me up so long in my trading. And it wasn't until I was accepting of letting moves happen without me and just waiting for the actual key levels to get tapped. Like, you might miss a move, right? But more often than not, you will get those levels tapped. And the big moves are probably going to come off those big levels, right? The short up here, right? We front ran this level a bunch of times, right? And we took this trade, right? I actually don't think I'm stopped out of this position either yet. So technically I am still holding this short. But what happens, right? We get up, we front run our key level. We get a drop down. Oh my God, you missed the move. Stay patient, right? You front run the golden pocket again. Oh my God, you're going to miss the move. And what happens? Eventually Bitcoin comes up and taps that level. Then we take the short and we get that massive drop to the downside. So I am happy missing this move and missing this move to catch the big move. So just a little insight on how I handle things. So we'll see what happens. You the man, Frankie. Shout out to Rudy. Welcome in, bro. Long time no see. He was in the premium Discord live stream. Let's go. Shout out to Baby G. Said, I love when people just say a word or a token. I think, like, what about it, bro? Shout out to Baby G. People just, like, spam altcoins. I assume they probably want me to look at the chart. Let's see. All right, so let's take a look at some other altcoins here. We'll keep an eye on Bitcoin as the price action develops. We took a look at Ethereum, took a look at Solana. Let's take a quick look at XRP. Still just chopping around here. Rejecting the value area low currently. 4-hour money flow crossing into the green. I mean, I'll be honest, guys. Again, right, like you still have like relative equal lows on XRP as well. Still potentially have some liquidity sitting down there. Until, right, we're rejecting from that golden pocket that we looked at last week until we can reclaim this value area low, right? If we're able to come in, higher low, higher high, 4-hour money flow starting to cross over into the green, maybe you get that continuation up. But just understand, right, like this doesn't mean, right, that I'm shorting now or longing now. Excuse me. I'm waiting for the moves to come into the key levels, right? Just because I think there's a lot of liquidity sitting down below that can get taken doesn't mean that I'm just going to short that move, right? And arguably, you would have a reason to short here, though, just to be clear, right? You do have the bearish divergences into your key level. But I do think if you're going to get the bigger move down, the thing to look at here is the 15-minute money flow crossing over into the red on Bitcoin with the 4-hour red dot. But even then, it's like, take a look at XRP. It's the same thing, right? Like the altcoins are more often than not going to follow what Bitcoin does. If it winds up being a higher low and a higher high on Bitcoin, right, well, XRP could probably break back into this profile. Value area low sitting at 291. Reclaim this as support. Technically, we've already rejected our golden pocket, so we could take that off the chart. Yeah, I mean, I would just look for the reclaim of that value area low, start working your way up, maybe towards the POC. You got to be careful around the 786 at 304. Break 304, I'm looking up towards the POC at 314. Other than that, just still chopping around here on XRP. Nothing really to write home about, in my own personal opinion, right? You're back above your 786, which is obviously a key level. We slipped it. We slipped it. Swept it. I can't talk, guys. It's Monday. We swept it, got back above, tried to push up, lost it again. Now we're back above it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't really like playing around with these fib levels, to be quite honest. But the level to reclaim here is definitely going to be the value area low, sitting at 291. And then key level above that, last level of resistance before making it to that POC is going to be 304 at the 786. Break this. Look here. Crack this. Next stop is the POC. And then we'll reassess the situation. What's money flow look like? Can we continue through the whole profile? We'll have to let price action develop. But that's pretty much. Other than that, not too much to update here on XRP. Bitcoin continued to attempt to push lower. Yeah, another thing to look for here on the move down. The first, I would look at the 15-minute money flow crossover with the 4-hour red dot, and then you could also look at the 30-minute and the 24-minute money flow crossing into the red with your 8-hour red dot. Money flow chopping around here, back in the green once again. Ugh, money flow, come on, man. I just want the money flow to clean up. It's choppy price actions, completely mutilated money flow. Shout out to TDK, said, don't let this distract you from the fact that Hector is going to be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. And on top of that, he just went into Harry's and bought 3 T66 turbos with NOS and a Motec system exhaust. Shout out to TDK. Let's go. Shout out to the Fast and Furious fans. Come on, baby. Let's see. Liquidity everywhere. Shout out to Jesse. It's everywhere. Everybody run. Liquid Diddy is here. Yo, shout out to Rudy. Says, bro, there needs to be a Frankie coin, ticker sign candles. Shout out to Rudy. As much as I would love, like, I would just love to have our own coin. It would be so cool for the community. It's like there's no way it's not going to be a bad look for me. So I just steer clear from that stuff. I would love to just like pump some stuff, like make a coin and pump it for you guys. But even if I do it all the right way, someone's going to think that we're scammers, and it's just not worth it for my reputation. I would rather teach people how to reliably make money on the charts. It would be cool, but yeah, I'm never just going to shill my own meme coin. It's just a bad look. I've just never seen it end in a good way. It's just like, it's always a good idea, and then at the end of the day, people are like under investigation. I'm just not willing to do that. But it would be fire. It would be fire. And if I had to guess, it would probably pump to the moon. If you ever see a Frankie Candles coin, a candle coin, a Bing Bong token, I have nothing to do with it. If I did, I would tell you. But just a preemptive alert, I probably will never do that. Either this is the final blow off top or I'm out. Yeah, shout out to Batty. That is my overall thought process here, guys. At the end of the day, if we're talking long term, That's why 107K is so key for me, right? If we are either entering the final phase of the bull market, which in my opinion, as long as we stay above 107K, is the higher probability, right? Just like we've been looking at for months here at this point, right? Stay above 107K, doorway to new all-time highs, which I would be viewing as a final push, final blow off top. Finally, alt season comes in. But I think faster than, sooner than later, it is going to be still close to the top. Right? If we hold 107K and go into all-time highs, I would still think we are closer to a Bitcoin top this cycle than a lot of people probably think. I would be looking like the highest I'm willing to look at right now without having more information on the chart to make a new decision off of is between $137,000 and $155,000. And I'll tell you this, 155 is not my base case. I'll be looking between $130,000 and $137,000 as our next major target. Once we get up there, if money flow looks good, if price action looks good, we could look for the higher targets near about 150 to 155. But I do think, right, at the end of the day, even if we go into a new all-time high, it's going to be one of those last little final parabolic moves before finally seeing a real top come in on Bitcoin, if it's not already at 125K. And you might ask yourself, well, like, how do we know if its top isn't at 125K? And I can't give you a binary answer on that right now. But what I can say is as long as you're above 107K, the doorway to see that final stage of the bull market come in is still open. Lose 107K, it becomes less probable. So, yeah, it's either that or the top is in and the bear market is starting, and these are just lower high retracements for massive drops down. That's basically the case that I'm in. Like back here, different case, right? Different situation back here. We were looking for new all-time highs, very probably, right? Or very probabilistically, I don't know. Very high probability of higher low, higher high to come in here. But we were in a different part of the cycle at this point, right? Like we're getting very near where we would expect the end of the cycle to be, right? Which would be... Yeah, and we're holding the bull market support band, too. We looked at this last week, right? Like, we're still above the bull market support band, man. Hold this. Come on, baby. We start losing it. We start losing 107K. It's like that's where it starts to look a lot more bearish. So the nice thing is it's like a very simple line in the sand, $107,000, right? It's not the second you crack it, right? But you get stuck under here. You start getting weekly closers below the bull market support band. I'm at least looking for 104K to 96K, to be quite honest. And it just looks a lot more bearish because let's say you do get that move down. Right, let's say we break down here, we get the bigger continuation down, 2-day money flow crosses into the red. On those retracements, guys, if that money flow is still coming out on those retracements, you're back below the bull market support band, you're back below major resistance, you're back inside your major volume profile. If with money flow coming out on a higher time frame, you have to look at that as a potential macro lower high for massive lower lows to come. But until that happens, we could be good here, right? It's holding on by the skin of its teeth. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on. All right, let's see. Quarter 2, 2026. That is another possibility. I see a lot of people talking about that, potentially having this extend into 2026. Can't say it's impossible, just because we've seen the top come in at Q4 of 2020, or Q4. Historically, you would see the top come in Q4, right, which would be around here. It doesn't mean that it has to play out like that again, right? Like, nothing is guaranteeing that. I wish, if it was a guaranteed move like that, guys, it would be so easy. I'd be like, well, hey, the cycle's not over. It's not Q4 yet, right? But there's no, that's not, binarily set in the code or anything. So who knows, right? Maybe you get, who knows, black swans. Maybe it can extend into 2026. This would be something we had never seen before. But this cycle is different than what we've seen before, right? Just like every cycle is kind of different than what you see. It's like history rhymes. It doesn't always repeat, but it oftentimes rhymes. So we'll see. My bias, right, ever since we got this last breakout still remains the same, right? Finish up. We still have time to finish up that final parabolic move. If we can get that would be nice and clean. See the alts run. At that point, I'm probably taking a lot of profits on my Bitcoin, taking a lot of profits on my altcoins on those pushes up, assuming the alts get the move. Alt season can be very short-lived, guys. It can be, 2 weeks to a month and a half, right? Could happen very, very quickly, but it does look like could be set up for something like that to play out still. Until we break 107K. That's where I would really change that bias. History wraps. Shout out to Samuel. Let's go. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Eddie says July was bullish contrary to the previous cycles. That's why I always say, timing is just, one piece of it, right? Timing is very hard to call because a lot of people will say, September is typically bearish for Bitcoin, right? Sure. If you historically check that out, it is true. But, if you are in a September and the chart looks bullish, right, there's nothing saying that it has to be a bearish September because of what's happened in the past. It really depends on like the situation that you're in, right? Like if the chart looks bullish and I don't know, you have looser monetary policy, everything's ripping in a September, then maybe that's a bullish September. It's never just going to be like a binary thing like, oh, it's September, let's go down. That could be like your anticipation based off history. But if you have the charts pointing against it, let's say September was setting up to be like a potentially very bullish month, right? Like, well, then we would just look for the bullish move, right? I wouldn't just be like, but it's September, we can't go up. So yeah, it's never going to be like a binary thing. Let's see. Doge, am I the only one that sees an extremely bullish chart? Let's take a look at Dogecoin real quick. Well, let's come on over to the actual Doge alt template here. So for Dogecoin, right, like my bias, there's really no change here, right? High time frame, we're above the value area low. At that point, we look for the POC to come in next. We got the POC to get tapped. We stay within the range. The doorway to the POC and the break of structure to the upside here was open. We saw that happen. We covered this as we were looking for it. That's now played out. We're getting resistance at the POC. Nothing super alarming there, right? As long as we remain within the profile, more specifically above the value area low at about 17 cents, you're within your volume profile. Maybe we can fill this up to the value area high, which, by the way, sits at about value area high, which sits at about 38 cents. All right, we have the golden pocket, the 786, and the value area high. Also, weekly MPOC on this golden pocket as well. So, we might be able to bing bong around this POC. Right now, we're attempting to hold this anchored VWAP. Get back above the POC, right? This is your key level of resistance to flip. Flip the POC. We can look up to come back up towards this bigger target here between about 35 and 40 cents. Until then, right, like we have this local volume profile that we could look at. We have the 786 confluent with the value area low. Could still technically hold this as support and then continue back up. Once we lose this 786, though, I'm probably expecting a bigger drop down through the profile. Because this is the full move from this low to the high. So if we break down below this 786, which sits at about 21 cents, I would look at this as a zone, actually. Lose the value area low, 786 Fibonacci retracement at 20 cents. Once we can't reclaim that 786, well, hey, I'm going to be looking down here. I would look to break out this low below 18 cents and then push back into our bigger levels of support. I wouldn't really be worried about Dogecoin until we start breaking down below 17 cents at the value area low. But until then, we're inside our profile. Might be a wonky, confusing journey, right? But more often than not, you will see that fulfill the range. Just like over here, right? It's like break down below, can't get out. Very messy, confusing journey, right? Deviation above the high, break down into the range, right to the POC. We tried to get out, couldn't do it. Next stop, POC. Can't hold the POC. Next stop, value area low. Deviation below, that's where you look for longs. Flip the value area low to support. POC is next. You slipped it again, back in, POC is next, right? So until we lose that value area low, I would say, we're just within this. This is the biggest profile to look at. Locally, we're bouncing off of the anchored VWAP golden pocket value area high. We lose this. I'm looking down towards about 20 cents. We lose 20 cents. That's where I'm looking down towards those bigger levels, nearing the value area low at about 17 cents. Let's see. Sadia says, BTC. What is it doing? Oh, my God. Oh, I thought something was happening. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob said, what? Frankie Candles, as soon as someone says not to be worried, I'm automatically more worried. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. What about a long-term prediction on ETH? Long-term prediction, if you're new here. If you're not new here, you probably already know. I would say, listen, based off money flow, me personally, right, until we break out of this 786 value area high at about 45.76, I would be careful of continuations down, right, especially depending on what money flow looks like, right? If we get up here on the daily, the 2-day, money flow is continuing out. We can look for a potential lower high and lower low. Biggest level of support here is probably still going to be sitting. Let me see here. I would still say like between 36 and 35.30 is still a major level of support. Remember, this point of control on Ethereum is also the 786 Fibonacci retracement, the macro 786 Fibonacci retracement. If I pull this up on a clean chart just to put this into perspective, I still have the lines drawn from last week, right? This is your 786. This is the doorway to new all-time highs. It's pulled from the high to the low of the bear market. Slapped it down. We're now attempting to break out here, right? If we could hold on top of that 786, the doorway to new all-time highs is open. For me personally, the first major target I'll be looking at is between 5,800 and 6,520. However, this does not mean that you can't see much more turbulence, right? Like if we lose this 786, actually, let me see this. $3,700. So this bull market support band is currently coming in at about 36.62. This might be able to wiggle its way up. And I am paying attention to the psychological levels, just like the even 3,700, even 3,600, even 3,500. So this bull market support band might be able to wiggle its way up to that $3,700 psychological level. But just like on Bitcoin, right? We get above the 786. You try to stay above it. You try to stay above it. If we wind up losing this momentarily, I would still be saying that you can look at the $3,700 level, the $3,600 level, but when we look at the this range high, right? This is the same thing Bitcoin did, right? There's the 786, almost the same exact level. You hold it, you try to hold it. If you lose it, you could come down to retest this range high. This is a huge level of support, kind of like Bitcoin's $107,000 level. For Ethereum, I would say that's sitting between 36 and 3530. Again, if that anchored VWAP pushes up to about 3,700, maybe you can hold some support on that psychological level. But I would say, like, based on your money flow, right? If that daily money flow continues into the red, what am I anticipating? Lower highs, lower lows, right? What is the biggest level of support to look at if you get the lower low to come in? Well, I'd be saying at this value area high, where we also have a daily MPOC, and the $3,600 psychological level, right? So could see that before finally getting the retest of that range high and new all-time highs. It's the same thing that Bitcoin did in the same exact scenario. There's your 786, same thing from the high to the low. You get above it, you bounce, you lose it, you retest your range high, which was sitting right here, and then you reclaim 786 and get the bigger move into new all-time highs. Same thing on Ethereum. Literally the exact same thing. It would be nice if we didn't have to lose it, but just to point that out, if we did, still the biggest key level support is sitting down here. But we'll see. We're inside the profile. Let's see if we can wiggle our way back up here to the biggest key levels. So there you go. And then the long-term prediction to the upside, right, new all-time highs would be sitting up here between about $5,800 and $6,500. Let's see. Shout out to Don Crypt, said just in YouTube to pay $24.5 million to Frankie Candles for being the best crypto YouTuber alive. Wow, that is crazy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. Pay $24.5 million to settle with Trump lawsuit for talking against him. Shout out to Don Crypt. That is crazy. Wild stuff. Let's see. H-bar. Yeah, we could take a quick look at H-bar. Okay, hang on. Computer wants to take a look at Solana. But just to kind of show this, guys, like even on Solana, right? Like you don't have to know if this is the absolute low, right? You don't have to know 100%, right? When I talked about looking for a bounce here, I wasn't 100% certain, right? Doesn't mean I wouldn't trade it. I'm not long personally on Solana, but it wouldn't change if I were looking for a long position here. It wouldn't change the fact that I don't need to know if this is the absolute low. I just know that when you get a full rotation of the profile, just like up here, you know that there's a high probability of getting some kind of rejection, right? And if money flow is coming out like it was here on the 4 hour, right? Money flow crossover into the red. Look at the 2 hour, money flow crossing over into the red right here, right? Looking for that continuation down. You just have to look for the high probability moves. When you reject the value area high with confirmations and money flow coming out, there's a high probability just based off the volume profile that you're going to get a move at least to the POC. And then if you lose the POC, you can look down to the low. So when you come down to these value area lows, you don't have to say this is the low for new all-time highs. This is now, what is this, maybe a 10% move up? 12% move to the upside. That is plenty to make some money on a high probability move. 12% is beautiful. You can make money on this move without knowing if it's the low before new all-time highs, because you could take profit here at your first key level of resistance and then look to hold that position for the next target, which would be technically the value area high, right? The next major target, right? So you're looking for longs at the lows on confirmations, which you did have here. You just look to ride this up to the POC. It doesn't have to be the biggest move in the world. There's your money. Lock in profits, move your stop loss to break even. Now you're in a guaranteed winning trade. If this comes down, you get stopped out in profit and you make money. If it continues up through the profile like you would potentially expect, then you get the open opportunity to continue capitalizing to that next take profit. Right? So you don't need to know if this is the absolute low. You could still, if it's not the absolute low, why would you could still make money on that move to the upside and then stop out for a win and then look for those bigger levels. But let's take a look at H-bar real quick here. And I don't know what oh no! Why does this happen to me every day? Why does this happen to me? Coffee down. Coffee down. Mrs. Candles! Hang on one second, guys. Hang on one second, guys. Bear with me. Let me call Mrs. Candles. All right. Honestly, guys, I just spilled the coffee. Looks like we're going to dump. That was like ice cold, too, for some reason. Oh, no. I hope Mrs. Candles is here. Oh, no. She FU buttoned me. Oh, she texted me. All right. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to play some beats real quick. I'll be right back. I got to get a towel. Oh, my God. I just cleaned up the mess from last time. Oh, my God. Well, that's not a good sign, guys. It's not a good sign. Bearish for Bitcoin. All right. Nothing like swimming in some black coffee. Phoebe's licking the coffee off the floor. She's going to be hyper. She's never going to sleep tonight. All right. Let's continue on. Good Lord. Spilled water on keyboard coffee last time. Yeah, shout out to David. That was black coffee. Yikes. Oh, man. Now my feet are wet. It is literally in my socks, guys. This is... And Mrs. Candles is here. She just ignored me. Red God Candle incoming. Shout out to William. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, let's continue on. Now let's take a look at H-bar. In Greece, we say if coffee goes down, you will get money. Oh, shout out to Pose. Let's go. Let's go. So we'll just hope that pumps Bitcoin. All right, let's jump back into H-bar here, guys. Oh, man. Good thing my computer is not, like, sitting right underneath me. That's the hot bottom signal. Shout out to Slam the Man. I hope so. Quick, somebody kick a puppy. Oh, God. Shout out to Dave Digital. Hope I don't find a lost dog. Frankie just ended the bull market single-handedly. No, I hope not. Oh, God. Hold this, Mrs. Candles. She's deflated on the floor, so she's going to hold that towel. Coffee down, BTC up. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. All right, jumping into H-bar here, guys. What is this? This is the Bybit chart. I think we're looking at the MEXC chart. Okay, so... let's take a look here. Man, the 786 just still barely holding on. Barely holding on. Let's get rid of this real quick. Monthly MPOC is what we are currently pulling back from. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you the key levels here on H-bar. Obviously, if the money flow on Ethereum, if the money flow on Bitcoin, the 4-hour meaning, the medium time frame money flow, if we're able to continue those uptrends on Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously all the other altcoins are likely to follow here. I would still say below us, the biggest level of support is sitting here between the value area high and the golden pocket, sitting between about 20 and 18 cents, 19,949 and 18,804. It's almost similar to what we looked at on Bitcoin back here, right? It's like we front ran the golden pocket. We had a golden pocket sitting right here, right? Front ran it, finally tapped it. I can't promise that's what's going to happen on H-bar, but this is definitely the biggest key level to the downside, right? Because we have that 786 that I just brought up. Right? We have the 786 that we're trying to hold, but it's like this 786 is pulled from the impulse to this high. It's like we tapped it, couldn't get out, tapped it, couldn't get out. Now we're just like playing around with it. Technically, this is the level to stay above. If we lose that 786, that is the line in the sand for me to personally look down here closer to 20 cents, 20 to 18 cents. Definitely the biggest level of support there. So we'll see if we can hold it. If you can, you still have major resistance above. You have the value area low of the macro range. sitting at about 24 cents, and I can get rid of this 786 and monthly MPOC because we already rejected there. Actually, pretty beautiful rejection from that monthly naked point of control, high time frame level. Excuse me. But yeah, I would still just, lose this level, looking down towards the golden pocket value area high. If we can somehow hold this 786, get back above the anchored VWAP, that's the biggest level to get above. Flip this to support, then we might be able to look for a little bit of a bigger move up and potentially a bigger move towards that POC of the range. But we're pretty far from that being the case as of right now. You're praying to hold that 786, sitting at 21.5 cents, 0.21451. That's what we're looking at. I am so sticky right now, guys. Why is black? I don't even put anything in my black coffee. It's just black coffee. Why is it sticky? Oh, my God. All right, let's see. Let's see. Shout out to Ashley. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Says, well, since Frankie Candles is now frozen, literally. Wait. Oh, my God. My PC's just drenched in coffee. We're totally frozen. Shout out to Ashley. Thank you for the super chat. Hopefully, I'm not actually frozen. I hope not. But thank you for the super chat, and hopefully you guys can still see me. Let's see. HNT history does rap. Shout out to Samuel. Because of the oil in the coffee. Shout out to Jesse. Is that why it's sticky? I hate that. Not frozen for me. Okay, Tony. We're still live. We're still live, baby. But that's what I would look at on H-bar, guys. Like, you're hanging on by a thread here. Lose the 786. Looking down here. If we could hold it, honestly, the level I'd like to break is all the way up here at about 24 cents, right? You can get the move up. This is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. We could even pull our fib here from the high to the low, right? So you have your 786 sitting up in there as well with your golden pocket. Like, this is the big level to get above on H-bar, in my opinion. Doesn't mean instant new all-time highs or anything, but that's like the first major level I'd like to break above. So at this point, got to hold above that 786. If we can, get back above the anchor VWAP, push up in here. It's not until we flip that where I'll be looking for much bigger moves up. So even if we do get the move, that's the level to look at between 23 and 24 cents. So that's what I'll look at on H-bar. Shout out to Rao says Whistling Diesel looks like my brother. Shout out to I know Whistling Diesel. I don't know him personally. I know who Whistling Diesel is, though. Do we look alike? Shout out to Whistling Diesel. Man, what a fun YouTube channel to have. Just like break stuff and do cool stuff, outdoor stuff. That'd be fire. Shout out to Whistling Diesel. Let's see. Cash Strolling Coffee. Shout out to Samuel. Shout out to Post said, Frankie, I had one bet with a friend about what are the odds to win a trade if I send him one from your premium TA. He lost. We found a new member in our family. He's going to join us in the Discord. Shout out to Post. Let's go. Oh, so was it the Discord setup versus his setup and he lost? Is that what happened? Shout out to Post. Well, tell your friend. We're happy to have him whenever he does indeed join the Discord. Let's see. Oh no, the majority thinks this pump will be short-lived. Shout out to Mr. Call. Possible to check ADA. Yes, we'll take a look at ADA, and we'll jump into a couple other altcoins. I'm not going to spend too much time on the alts today, but we will take a look at Cardano here. I know I say that all the time. We're not going to look at all the altcoins, guys, and then we look at literally every altcoin ever created. But let's see here. So we're rejecting. I'm going to take this off the chart. And my object trees, guys, have disappeared. I don't know how this is possible. There's TA on the chart, no object tree. I don't know why this is happening. But it's going to be very hard for me. Pull this fib. Let's pull it from here. Let me clear this real quick. Oh, yeah. That's probably... Let's see. Try to give you some new levels on Cardano. Man, we had all this organized too. I don't know why this has happened. I don't know why my object tree isn't here. It's so frustrating. But let's take a look. So daily money flow, trying to come back into the green here. Is it a fake out? Maybe. Generally, I would like to see this come up a little bit more. It looks pretty decent. 2-day money flow back in the red, looking for the green dot. I'll be honest, guys. 4-hour money flow attempting to come back up. 3-hour money flow attempting to come back up. 2 trying to come back up. The 1 hour trying to come back up. I mean, overall, right, we are simply below our bull market value area. Bear market range, bull market range. The idea is that you want to get above this value area low. The biggest key level of support is 90 cents. Flip 90 cents to support. That opens the door to come into the POC and potentially see the bigger push up towards the value area high. What does our 3-day money flow look like right now? 3-day money flow still in the green. These are, as we've said many and many a times, 3-day money flow crossovers into the green are typically very good for altcoins, right? So the idea here would be flip the value area low at 90 cents to support, push into the POC, flip the POC, go into the value area high. Until then, you just got to be careful of some more chop. And I would say the biggest key level of support that I would personally like to hold is just like on Bitcoin, going to be the golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement. Lose this 786 at 61 cents, I'm looking to take out this low. If it is not a quick sweep of liquidity and we lose the macro 786 here at 50 cents, that is much more bearish, in my own personal opinion. So your hope here is to hold the higher low on this Fibonacci retracement, and the worst case scenario, this is front ran technically. We front ran it once, twice, thrice. So if you don't get the higher low here for the continuation into the profile and we lose this level, you're hoping for a hold of that 786 down below at 50 cents. We lose this, much more bearish. That's what I'd be looking at on Cardano. And I don't know why my drawings are not popping up here in the object tree. This is brutal. I'll have to try to fix this at some point. But lose 50 cents, yikes. Because what does that do, right? Well, technically, you're losing your 786, your macro 786, and at that point, well, hey, get stuck inside your bear market volume profile. Ugh, just looks bad, right? So I would say the biggest key level of support here, value area low, or value area high 786. That's like your last line of defense. Similar to Bitcoin. This is like Bitcoin's 107K level. Lose that, right? If you don't get the higher low and the higher high, and you can't hold this, POC value area low could be next, right? Which essentially brings you back down to bear market lows. So huge key level of support on Cardano, 50 cents to 55 cents. You want to hold above that. Locally, if we dump again, 70 to 61 cents to look for a higher low. If you can get that medium time frame money flow, like the 4 hour, to continue into the green. So there you go. All right, let's see here. Yeah, shout out to DK Insights that I would be happy with an alt season of 2 seconds at this point. Yeah, shout out to shout out to you, bro. I agree. Let's see. I'll be living in the metaverse of Vice City during the bear market. Shout out to Fighter Pilot. Maybe we should just turn into like a GTA 6, because that is technically going to be crypto related, I would think. Maybe we just turn into like a GTA 6 streaming live stream. Technically still crypto, but we're playing GTA 6 instead of looking at the charts. I'm just kidding. We're going to have to look at the charts because we're going to be making money on that way down. Let's see. WIF. We can take a look at WIF for sure. I haven't taken a look at WIF in quite some time. Let's take a look. Oh, okay. Cool. So I don't remember exactly the last time we looked at WIF. Must have been as we had this low down here, so this needs to update. Slightly moves that golden pocket. Still confluent with the POC somewhat. That is pulled from this lower high. So you came down here. You have swept liquidity. You didn't really get you got a little SFP here, but did push into the daily MPOC. Let me check some of these higher time frames. Yeah, so I would say right now, he tapped this daily MPOC almost to the tick. Between 72 and 69 cents. This is your big key level of support. on whiff. If whiff, yeah, pretty similar to everything else. If you lose, so you have the range high retest, you have the 2 daily MPOCs. This is definitely a key level you want to stay on top of, right? We broke out, we retested it, came back up, we're retesting it again. If you lose this daily MPOC, well, at that point, I'm going to be looking down towards that point of control, right? Lose these daily MPOCs, looking down towards the point of control of the range. Huge level of support. Pull an anchored VWAP here real quick. Nothing. All right, so that doesn't really help us out. Other than the fact that we lost that anchored VWAP, let me pull it from the high here. So, yeah, I would say key level of support, definitely sitting down here. Do not want to lose 66 cents. If you can hold this and get another move up, next key level of resistance is going to be the value area low, golden pocket POC 786, sitting between 80 and 86 cents. If the money flow is going to continue out here on the 16-hour, on the daily, right? Maybe we get a green dot, red dot, money flow continues out. If we got the push up here, I'm not saying you have to get the push up, but that could be an area to look for a lower high and a lower low, which honestly be very bearish in my opinion, right? Because at that point, if you're looking for the lower low, you're looking for a drop down pretty much into this profile, which could open up the door for much lower prices. So definitely key support. You do not want to lose 66 cents. 666. You do not want to lose that level, guys. That is the level of the devil. So there we go. Let's see. Tropical Hawaiian extra sauce. Shout out to JR. I hope you're not talking about pizza, bro. Please don't tell me you're talking about pizza. The price action is just stupid right now. Yeah, shout out to Vegas Call. It's been pretty brutal, even on Bitcoin. Although we have caught very nice trades in the premium. Literally shorted the high, long the low, shorted the high. Had a long setup here at the low. I didn't personally long it because I was waiting for the sweep of the lows. But yeah, other than like waiting, like just inside these moves, like just very choppy price action. So just kind of really been taking more of the swings here. Not me personally, but just playing more of the swings here because price action locally has been just very, very choppy, especially in here. This was just brutal. Just sitting in the long position from 107K, waiting for this chop to just play out and finally hit our key level of resistance was absolutely brutal. But the patience wound up paying us out there. So let's see. Shout out to Rudy or Rudy V007. Shout out to you, man. Welcome in. The Simpsons will go off the air before alt season. Shout out to Dave Digital. Yeah, they're on season 297,462, I think. Coffee was at all-time highs. Had to drop. Even Starbucks are closing their stores. Shout out to Slam the Man, the infamous coffee indicator. Shout out to Vegas Call. Said Frankie the type of guy to eat alphabetical soup in alphabetical order. Alphabet soup in alphabetical order. Joke's on you, Vegas Claw. I don't know my alphabet. Anyway, shout out to Vegas Claw. There can only be one Rudy. Oh, God, we got the war of the Rudies in the chat. Good Lord, good Lord. What about Trump coin? Take a quick look here. I think we have a Trump chart somewhere. Haven't looked at it in forever. Pretty sure we do have a chart here, though. Or not. Maybe we don't. There it is. All right, yeah. We have not looked at this in forever. Technically still a valid volume profile. I'm just going to take this off the chart because we're far away from it. This as well. But at this point, right, like what would I be willing to look at here? Let's pull up the VPVR real quick. Let's pull fixed range. Dang, this thing made another low. I mean, what I can tell you is that your most significant area of value is right up here. And ideally, you get above that POC as well. So instead of looking at the value area low as your doorway to higher prices, I would actually prefer to look at the POC as that doorway, right? Because they're very close to each other. So I wouldn't really be getting out of bed here to flip the value area low, only to get a rejection from the POC. So what I would really like to see here is if Trump can push back up, flip the POC at about 884 to support, and then look for that bigger rotation where you do have a little bit of volume fall off. It's not a huge gap or anything, but you do have, highest volume node is here. So this is the biggest key level to get above, I would say, sitting between 889 and 815. Flip that to support. Well, hey, maybe you can get accepted in here and start pushing up towards that value area high. And I'll just leave that at that, right? Nice and simple. Got your POC. Got your, got your value area low. Bada boom, right? So that's the level to get above. Until then, kind of hard to find extra levels to the downside. You did get the little SFP here. Maybe that's all you needed. But at the end of the day, there's not much below us, right? Like the only thing I'd be able to look down here is at extension levels, unless we have a MPOC. Nope. Let's check the daily. Yeah, there's not much below us. So, because I can't really look left. So, no, it's not even. Yeah, you got to get above this purple box. Other than that, the only thing I can do is look at the Fibonacci extensions, which I'll just mark out for you guys in case we do drop down again. Oops. Yeah, that's not looking the best. Try to pull it from this move. Whoops. So this would be your next extension to the downside at about 606. You can see you're actually holding this fib zone right now. So I would say if you lose this fib zone, I'd be looking at 606, potentially even down to about $5, $4.96 at the next extension level. So these would be the next two key levels I'd look at down below. If you can hold this where we are right now and get another pop up, you really want to flip on top of this POC at about $8.95 before looking for a bigger push up. So that's what I would look at on Trump coin. We'll see what happens. Please hold. I don't hold any Trump coin, but hopefully that can hold if we have to go back down. All right, let's see. Shout out to Vegas Call said, my trade doesn't know what to do. It's like a Camaro with 600 pounds of torque and traction control off. Shout out to shout out to Vegas Claw. Let's see. Worst bull run ever. Shout out to Don Crypt. Yeah, I mean, as far as the altcoins go, I would say that. I always kind of like push back against that a little bit for Bitcoin. Just because Bitcoin has just been in a clean, and this is again why I remain bullish until we lose that 107K level, and we'll cross the bridge if we do have to lose that level. But I mean, this is just like the cleanest uptrend ever. It's not the exciting, just straight up in a straight line, but it is a very like healthy, sustained uptrend. So I would say like the bull market for Bitcoin's been pretty decent, right? It's kind of played along with the 4-year cycle. It's pretty much done everything we've wanted it to do. The altcoins, on the other hand, are just absolutely brutal. I'm not even really going to check dominance here, guys, because nothing has really changed. If you watched Friday's live stream, it's kind of the same deal, right? If we get a continuation up, like we have Fibonacci retracement levels here, I would still say long-term, this trend looks weak from a high time frame perspective. 3-day money flow crossing over into the red. Well, hey, I'm looking for lower highs and lower lows. We'll see what happens. Other than that, nothing to update on Bitcoin dominance. Just all still looks the same. We're just waiting for Bitcoin to make a move. Like Bitcoin, are you going to crack the lows or are you going to push up into new all-time highs? Like literally just a sit and wait situation, in my opinion, right? Unless you're looking for the lower time frame trades. Let's see. Megan. We could take a look at this. Egan? How do you say that? Somebody tell me. All right, I'm just going to try to get the most price history here. Looks like the Bybit chart is doing decent for us. Yeah, it looks like I'll just check one more. Yeah, I'll just take this. So let's see. All right, so let me pull up the VPVR real quick. Whoops. All right, so you got a little bit of a gap up to about 232. Nothing really that significant. It's a pretty big fall off in volume back into this profile, but like this little gap here leading up to about 230, 232. Little bit of a gap, nothing really to write home about. I'm not even going to mark it out because it's not like it's a massive gap. I can pull, let me see what this looks like. So these would be the two ranges I would look at. Pull our fib from the low to the high. POC would be key support here, confluent with the Fibonacci retracement. High volume node, obviously, as it's on the POC, the highest volume node within the profile. I would say this is the next place to look for a bounce. So obviously, within the profiles, it's not my favorite place to take a long in the POC, in the middle of the POC. I much prefer to see taps on the value area low. I'd much rather go long from a value area low rather than from a POC. But with the golden pocket 786 confluent here, with the high volume node, I would say this is an area where you could potentially see a higher low come in. Taking a look at our medium time frame money flow. Not looking as pretty as some of the other stuff. Money flow kind of flat here on the 4-hour VWAP. Looking to roll back over here potentially. Not really getting the 2-hour money flow in the red. So money flow looks a lot different on this than it does on Bitcoin. The money flow on the medium time frames do look better for Bitcoin. So I'm going to take money flow off there for now. So I would say key level number 1, golden pocket 786, point of control between $1.47 and $1.31. Once you lose that 786, I'm looking to come back down towards this value area low, which sits at about $1.28. So you have your value area low. Let me clean up this range. You have your value area low sitting right here at about $1.12. You have the POC sitting right here at about $1.36, and the value area high sitting here at $1.75. So this would be the range I would look for. First major key level of support, golden pocket 786 POC. Lose the 786. I'd personally be waiting for the value area low anyway, but definitely a place where you could put in a higher low and a higher high. I wish money flow was more confluent for that, but once you lose that 786, I'm looking back down towards the low, which in my opinion is a better place to look for long anyway. So there you go. That's what I would look for on Megan. All right, let's see. I'm not a pineapple on pizza fan. A cranberry in my chicken salad. Some things just don't need fruit. Shout out to Amina. I was talking to Mrs. Candles about this. I had a fire chicken salad sandwich yesterday for dinner. It was amazing. There was grapes in it. Why are there grapes in my chicken salad? I don't want that. When I want chicken, I want like garlic, salty, savory. I don't want grapes. Like I wouldn't want Jolly Ranchers in my coleslaw. I don't know why. I'm not a big sweet and savory guy. It's either savory or sweet. Anyway, let's continue on. I think pizza, shout out to Wick589 said, I think pizza and chicken salad are a crucial element in what I call charcuterie. And with all the charcuterie rules, rules can be bent or broken. Yeah, shout out to Wick. I think that's where the sweet and savory stuff starts. Like, if I have a charcuterie board, I want prosciutto, I want salami, I want any kind of meat with cheese. I don't want jelly on it. Hot take. Sweet and spicy is king. I am more of a fan of sweet and spicy. But it's like, yeah, like the tahini candy, right? It's like sour strips with salt and spice just doesn't work with me. It's like, like my candy just tastes like a taco now. Not my favorite. But anyway. Charcuterie was pronounced perfectly. Shout out to Wick589. Grapes or apples or strawberries on a salad. Man, yeah, I understand I have the hot take there. I understand a lot of people like fruit in their salad. I don't like fruit in my salad. I need ranch and onions. I'm against sweet and savory for some reason. But anyway, Capicole, shout out to Baby G. Tahini peach rings are fire. I am not a fan. I can't get on board. I tried so hard. It looks so good. I just can't get on board. Y'all need better taste buds. Shout out to Ovi. I am not a big food guy. I'm growing a more mature palate, I think, but I'm not a big food guy. I see food as a chore. Like, I'm hungry, I eat. McDonald's, Domino's, gourmet pizza. Hey, Mrs. Candles, we're talking about how putting grapes in chicken salad is a sin, and the entire mafia agrees with me. Everybody, not one person disagrees. No. I think Amina said she doesn't like cranberries in her stuff either, and I was like, yeah, everybody's agreeing. Don't look at the chat. Everybody's agreeing, right, guys? Right? What? Yeah, potato salad with apples in it. It just, I don't know. It feels out of place to me. Because I spilled coffee everywhere, and I called you to come save me, and you left me abandoned. Oh, you were cooking me steak? Shout out to Mrs. Candles. Give me that hand. Oh, baby! Smells like New York strip. Let's go. What is it? Filet mignon? What is it? T-bone? All right, just steak. Wagyu. A5 Wagyu? All right. Shout out to Mrs. Candles. But anyway, guys, that's what we're looking at here on Egan or Megan. Mrs. Candles is like, who is Megan? Who is he talking to? He's talking to women in there? What the heck? Nothing. Shout out to Jezza. Said, what's up from Australia? Shout out to Jezza. Shout out to you, man, from all the way down under. I love my cranberries in chicken salad sandwiches with some stuffing. Wow, shout out to Big Huggies. Maybe I have to expand my my horizons here. Mrs. Candle said I need to grow up. Anyway, continuing on here, guys. I'll just do one last check-in on Bitcoin. We took a look at the alts. It's already 7:26. Good Lord, that went fast. But yeah, for the most part, guys, just from a just general bare bones level here, $115,600 is really where we have the weekly and daily MPOC. But don't forget, obviously, this is going to be a little bit of a group of resistance. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? I didn't have time to organize this chart before the stream here, guys. Bear with me. Where's my... There it is. Right? So we're tapping into the golden pocket. Like I said, the daily and weekly MPOCs, like this is really the big level. If we can get up there, I'm much more interested in this level. But at the end of the day, golden pocket value area low is still resistance. Be careful of the pullbacks here. With money flow coming up on the medium time frames, we can look for higher lows and higher highs on the short term, right? Or medium term, I guess I should say. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I go over all this in detail. But we'll see. We're just still hitting our head on this golden pocket. If we continue to push up, I'll be looking at my next key levels of resistance. If we get the pullback, I will be potentially looking for higher lows and higher highs based off our money flow. And to start that move down, we're going to be looking at that 4-hour red dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover into the red. So we'll see. Maybe we get some more drives of bearish divergence in here before a pullback, and then we can look for the higher lows and the higher highs to come in. Generally around 112,600, 112,500. Again, where we have our key. 786 Fibonacci retracement on top of our range high retest. So I'm sitting on my hands, waiting for the key levels to get tapped. Key level to the downside, 113K. I don't know if I would say 113K. I would assume you'd probably push into this golden pocket, which brings you into about 112.6. But if you want to incorporate that value area high, 112,965 to 112,153. Once we lose that 786, I'm looking for a bigger drop through the profile. But if we can get that 4-hour red dot with the 15-minute money flow crossover, this could be an area to look for the bounce and the continuation of that uptrend, especially since we held that 786 Fibonacci retracement. So we'll keep an eye here on the charts, and yeah, we'll just see. Just nothing really to do up here. If I were to look for something, it would have to be a short, right? I'm not looking for a long position here. Not that it can't continue up. It's just not a place where I would look to take the trade. So there we go. I had locally made ice cream in Atlanta that was made with cayenne and cinnamon. Spicy, cold, and sweet. Was interesting and fun. Shout out to Amina. Interesting. Yeah, sounds like I would not be a huge fan of it. But I don't know. I'll try anything. I have like I said, I'm never like, I will eat anything. I'm basically a garbage disposal. But the stuff that I gravitate to is pretty consistent. I'm basically your typical Italian, guys. Like, give me chicken parm, give me penny vodka, give me a meatball sub, give me a cold cut sandwich, give me some pizza. Did I say pizza? Other than that, I'm just eating is a chore for me. Shout out to Wick589. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I appreciate you. Where'd we go here? Thank you for the super chat. He says, Frankie's old man switch will flip, and suddenly he's like, man, I could go for some salt on my watermelon. Shout out to Wick589. God, I don't want to completely throw everybody off here. I actually like salt on my watermelon. I know that goes against everything I just said, but it is what it is. I can't control my taste buds, guys. But anyway, we're breaking out right now. Shout out to Guardian of Gaia. Breaking out on Bitcoin. I don't know. Got a little push up here. I want to call it a breakout. But again, my plan remains the same. I don't want to sit here and just repeat the same thing over and over. Waiting for the key level support. Waiting for the key levels of resistance. I'm happy. If I miss this move down, I will look for the longs. If we get the push up, I'll look for the short. And until then, I'm just going to sit here and watch this paint dry as the fun has already happened. So, guys, with all that being said, shout out to Rudy. Shout out to Dave Digital. Shout out to Michi. Said, Frankie, do you know Tony Soprano? Shout out to Michi. Not personally. Not personally. I don't know the actor. I don't know. The real Tony Soprano. Maybe. I'm just kidding. I do not know Tony Soprano. Shout out to Jesse. Said, Frankie, I totally get what you're saying. Dave says, love salt on my watermelon and love sweet and a salad, but also love savory in a salad. Yeah, shout out to Dave. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll jump on the train. Maybe Mrs. Candles will throw some applesauce on my steak, and maybe I'll fall in love with it. Yeah, shout out to Rudy. He wants to know if I speak Italian. Unfortunately, no. It's one of my biggest regrets in life is not learning Italian from my grandparents. I really, really wish that I learned Italian. I took Spanish in high school. I don't know why I didn't take Italian. I should have taken Italian. Do you think in the case of a huge jump to 97K, if we hold? Shout out to Eddie. I wouldn't be looking for the drop down to 97K until we lose $107,000. Do I think we would hold 97K? Well, that's like impossible for me to answer. It depends on what the chart looks like down there, right? Like if we go down to 97K and it's like, it looks good, right? Maybe we bounce. It's impossible for me to make that call as of right now. But on Friday's live stream, right? Hold the 786. We look to go through this profile. If we break out, we look to come into that $115,000 zone of resistance. Same thing, right? Like the levels have moved slightly. I've separated some of them, but for the most part, just seeing what we've been waiting for, right? Coming up here, maybe we take the short. But other than that, right? Like long term, above 107K, I am cautiously optimistic here, guys. Lose 107K, you will see me start to talk with a much more somber, bearish tone. Skizzle said some of you got some effed up taste in food. I'm not going to lie. Shout out to Skizzle. Bobbity boobity. Shout out to David. That's the only Italian I know. Is a calzone pizza? Nah, I don't consider it pizza. It's very similar. But I don't consider it pizza. Calzones are fire, though. If the government shuts down, is that going to cause a pullback? Potentially. Only thing I can really give you a statistic on that is if you go back and test other government shutdowns. But even if we, more often than not, like any of that stuff, right? Like a government shutdown, a black swan event, like I'm never looking to predict things based off of that. Like you guys will notice, it's always like, a lot of people have these like news biases, right? Or like these event biases. Like, oh my God, but like what if this happens? Then we're going to see this happen. And it's like, I pay attention to this stuff. It's important to pay attention to. However, more often than not, I am just looking at the chart, right? Like if there was a black swan event, I always do this when we go back and look at the price action back in 2020, right? It's like, what am I going to say that the chart called the black swan? No, not necessarily, right? Obviously, the chart doesn't know that there's going to be some kind of black swan that comes in. But when you look at the chart back there, right, chances are, if I had my channel back here, which I didn't, this was all the way back in 2019 or 2020, chances are, right, we would be looking for short positions here, right, based off of many different things, right? Like if I were just looking at this as price action and I just had to kind of like view this, come on, right? Very often, right, I would probably be looking at this as a volume profile. Come on, that's not going to populate because I'm in bar replay mode. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. What a pleasure for once in its life. Right? So at this point, it's like you have your 4-hour money flow crossing into the red. I'm kind of just doing this on the fly, guys. I don't know if there's really going to be a legitimate confirmation here. But you have your 4-hour money flow crossing into the red. Right? What does that say to me? Well, that says that you could put in a lower high and a lower low. Pull from the high to the low. Right? So I don't know if we're going to reject this, but this would be an area to look for some kind of a rejection or just potentially look for shorts, right? Looking at your higher time frame money flow, what does the higher time frame say? Well, look at the 12-hour money flow. pretty bearishly crossing down into the red, right? This could indicate a high time frame, lower high for a lower low. Let's check the daily. Daily money flow actually not looking too bad. Green dot looking to print. So I don't know exactly where you dump from, but more often than not, right? Like I'm just going to have my bias based off the charts, right? Regardless of like what a black swan is going to be. And let's see, was this actually the start of the bigger dump, or did we get another high to come in? And there it is, right? So like, just show me the chart, right? And I'm not saying that like this is going to call for the black swan to come in or anything like that, but it's like more often than not, like I just did like a little bit of analysis here. 12-hour money flow coming out. What am I looking for? Low, lower high, lower low, right? To look for that continuation of the downtrend. Now that 12-hour money flow, look at that. It's crossing into the red. What would I be looking for? A continuation of the downtrend. Right? So it's like, did that call the black swan? No. But like when you start to look at these events, like just show me the charts. Like I'm always going to trade the charts, and more often than not, the news or whatever event is going to happen is just going to go along with what the charts are saying. And that's just like a quick example I just pulled up out of nowhere. So it's like when it comes to things like government shutdowns and stuff, it's like it's just not something I would trade based off of, right? Maybe I would look for a short position, and then there's a government shutdown, and people think it's going to dump based off that. And it's like, all right, well, cool. I already took a technical short. Maybe the government shutdown helps me out. I'm always looking at that as like a secondary thing. So there we go. Shout out to Don Crypt, said at this point, ETH might top at 5,500 and BTC at 135K. Shout out to Don Crypt. That's kind of what I'm looking at, to be honest. That's been what I'm looking at for forever. And it's not that, you know, I always say this. It's not that we can't go to 150, 200K. It's just that I think, right, you have to have conservative targets. And my conservative targets for Bitcoin are sitting between $130,000 and $137,000. That's been the next major macro bull market target for a long time, right? We had our first bull market target sitting up here between $102,000 and $91,000. Second bull market target, for the most part, is sitting up here, $137,000 to $156K. All right, so like I'll be honest, if we put in another all-time high and we come up in here, I am probably selling a ton of my Bitcoin. I am probably selling. Depending on where Ethereum is, right? Ethereum hitting into the $5,500 target, right? I'm probably selling a decent bit of my Ethereum. I'm holding from much, 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 much lower. I am not just going to say, oh my God, the bull market is just beginning. We're going up to 500K. Like that is not the case. Like this bull market is not just started. I hope that's the case. I hope this time is different and this is just the start of it and we're going into the golden bull market. Just remember, they call for this every single time. Every single time they call for higher targets, right? And it's like, why are you calling for that higher target? What is your reasoning for looking for that level to get hit? If I don't have a reason for that level to get hit, well, I'm probably taking profits. If I see a top forming here, I'm probably selling maybe all my Bitcoin if I see that there are top signals up at my major targets here. So that's kind of what I've been looking at. If we get up there and it looks really good, well, hey, then we can maybe start to look towards the $200,000 target sitting up here at about 209K. But I am not just going to sit here and wait for 200K. This has been kind of the major target for me forever. So I hope we can get above it. But if not, right, I am not going to be scared to be selling some up here if we're even lucky enough to get up there. So, which again, as long as we hold above 107K, I do think is still in the cards, right? That's not 107K. 107K's right there. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Bitcoin, guys. I will keep you updated here. If anything crazy happens tomorrow, I'll drop a market update for you guys, and maybe we'll go live during the day if something really crazy happens. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. Smash that like button on your way out. I don't know how many likes we have right now, but let's run it up at least another 100 on your way out. And we'll be doing those giveaways on Friday. Shout out to Genius. Shout out to when will Bitcoin be zero? Shout out to Genius. I'm thinking probably July 14th, 2028. Bitcoin will hit zero. That is my guess. Shout out to Slam the Man. Shout out to Rudy. Shout out to David. Shout out to Hodl. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Peter. And last but not least, shout out to Baby G, Amina, Guardian, Dave Digital, all the mods. Show them some love on your way out. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. See you guys tomorrow. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Coach, what's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them two bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. It started Don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Shout out to Don Cripps said there's people on X speculating that alt season will start in May 2026 when Jerome Powell is gone and finally replaced. That is something I have honestly given a little bit of thought. Shout out to Don Cripps. At that point, we will have seen something that has truly never, ever happened, which is obviously a possibility. We will just be in uncharted water at that point. So we'll see. We'll see if that winds up playing out. It's not something I can really bank on, but it is definitely a possibility. Maybe we'll talk about that scenario a little bit more tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. Hopefully Bitcoin holds above 107K. If you just tuned in, scroll back to the beginning of the stream, get all the sauce, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, same place, same time, right here, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. Hasta pasta, Frankie Candles out, bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to